All right, we're here today to answer any questions you guys might have about college or the application process in general. I'm Mr. Housley, and I will be able to at least help you guys and guide you in the right directions to help you guys better think of some questions or some other things you may need for college, okay? So first question. Yeah, you right over there.
Listen, I hear you're in here talking about what you want us to do for college and all, but I need you to ask me a question first. Answer me a question first. I'm sorry, I don't speak too well. What is college? How much did them applications cost? You talked about money and college, and it doesn't add up to me.
It's a good question. College or any other type of post-secondary education is what you do after you get done with high school in order to assure yourself a better opportunity at the next level, whether that's a better job or a better position. Education will help you get to that next level. Now, not all of you will go to a four-year university. Not all of you are going to be strictly doing academics. Some of you may want to do trades, or some of you may even want to do nursing or hair and makeup or refrigerator repair. Whatever you want to do, that's fine, but you need to get the education to do that.
Mr. Teacher Man, my second question about college is, do I have to go to college? As you see, I don't really feel like college may be the best for me, but do you have to go to college?
Do you have to go to college? That's a question I get asked a good bit. No, you don't have to go to college. Nobody's forcing you to go to college. But what we said in question was, one was, if you want to go up that ladder in life, you're going to need more education. That doesn't mean you have to do a college diploma track. That just means you need to educate yourself more so that you can get further up that ladder in whatever profession that you choose. Okay? Next question.
How does one go to college? Do you just ride up there and say, get me in there, I want to take some courses, put me down, or is there a process or what?
Okay. Registration for college. The way this works is typically you will go in for a freshman orientation session, typically over the summer, and at the end of your summer session, you will actually sit down and choose your classes. It's very important that you sign up for the earliest registrations during the summer that you can for orientation, because the ones who sign up at the very end, you get the classes that are at the very end, okay? So for those of you who don't want 8 a.m. classes or 6 p.m. classes, that's what typically happens at the end of registration. But you'll take care of that before you even enroll. You usually do that with orientation sessions. Next question.
Hey man, I was thinking, I know when we apply, is it called the Fanta or the Fat Seal, or what is the term called? Where's the place where we go in and we find out about money?
All right, let's go ahead and talk about money, because money is going to be one that a lot of you guys are going to ask about and we're going to have questions on. The first thing I can tell you about money is this. The easiest thing that students can do is fill out the FAFSA, F-A-F-S-A. It's a free application for federal student aid. What it does is it allows, number one, for students in the state of Louisiana to apply for TOPS. That is your only TOPS application, okay? That's what you fill out. But the FAFSA also allows to see if you're eligible for grants or loans or any other type of work-study program that the government can assist you with. Once that's taken care of, then universities will use your application that you've turned in, and once you turn that application in, you'll be eligible for university scholarships. So for example, if you've heard, well, hey, Joshua's going to ULM and he's getting $30,000 for 4 years. Well, that means each semester is broken down. So there's 2 semesters a year, 4 years for a typical degree, that would be 8 years. So that $30,000 would be divided by 8. He would get that at the beginning of each semester to help him out with school. But that's what the FAFSA is, and that's that money question.
Right in front. Okay, hi, I'm Franklin. Most of you know this. I was wondering, what could you tell us about scholarships, just like in general?
Scholarships are going to be different than grants and the free money from the government, okay? The big difference between scholarships and that is scholarships are given out and they're usually merit-based, which means you can't usually just get them because you showed up. But the good news is on some of these, you can get some of them by simply applying for the scholarship. The university assumes you've already jumped a couple of hurdles because they've allowed you into their university. That next step is we'll give you some additional money because we want you to be part of our university. So that incoming freshman money will be the most money you will ever get for going to college, incoming freshman money. The only thing you do for that is you send off your college application. I tell students traditionally you want to have that college application off by Halloween. That allows enough time for the big universities and enough time for the small universities. For those of you interested in ULM or Louisiana Tech, those deadlines are a little bit closer to January, but it doesn't hurt to go ahead and get that out of the way. Applications usually cost between $20 to $50 depending on which college or university you want to go to. You're not getting that money back, but it does put you in the application category to get money. Where we were talking about $30,000 over 4 years, that would be those category of kids, okay? All right, next question for anybody? They told me something about,
Fat. She's fat. She's fat.
what was it? Hold on.
Fat.
A Pell Grant?
She's fat.
Like, I don't know if that means like,
She's fat.
you gotta be like really pale to get it, or
No, she's cute.
you think you're talking about Pell Grant? All right, back to money again. I knew we were gonna get back to money. Money is an important one. When you also fill out the FAFSA form, you're eligible for what's called grants, okay? Grants are what's gonna be there for students who don't necessarily have a lot of money. The federal government puts in a very specific formula and decides that, and you could get up to $2,500 a semester potentially to help you out with school, somewhere in that ballpark, which would be about $5,000 a year that the federal government will give you for free to help you go to school if you qualify, okay? Which is upwards to 4 years worth. That's $20,000 potentially of free money as long as things don't change. Now things will change. You get a better job, your parents get a better job. Any of those things can adjust these things because when you do the FAFSA, your parents have to help you fill it out until you're financially independent. And if you have further questions on that, feel free to talk to your counselor, but we'll help you out as much as we can. All the other money and grants and things are through the FAFSA process and through actually applying for applications at your university. Once your first application is sent away, the next thing that you would look at is any other scholarships from that university, okay? Next question. Oh. I hate to bring scholarships back up again and be that guy, but when will I get the scholarship that I won and how much money will it be? Because I'm pretty sure I'm going to win it over these guys, but I mean, after all, how much will it be? Okay, your money's going to get there at the end of the summer. Okay, one of the hardest things to talk to Louisiana high school seniors is about is you won't find out about that TOPS money until sometime in July. And then once your registration starts, you will basically maybe even have a negative balance on your account and you may start freaking out about how am I going to pay for college. Give it some time, the money will start showing up. If you start getting extremely concerned about why a certain scholarship or why something is not showing up, you need to contact the people who got the scholarship and the financial aid department of your university. They're there to help you make sure that you make the right decisions and have everything that's supposed to be on your sheet.
Hey, so I don't really like anybody or anything, so I'm going to college out of state. How does that work?
Okay. There's going to be some of you who want to leave the state of Louisiana. I get it. It makes sense. You've grown up here. You may like it. You may not like it, but you may want to get away, whether that's away from your family or your friends, or quite frankly, you just may want a fresh start. What I tell students is this. If you're a TOPS eligible student, go ahead and attend school in Louisiana because people are trying to give you money to go to school here. If that's the case, try to move elsewhere. Move to Shreveport. Move to Lake Charles, Lafayette, New Orleans, Baton Rouge. These are places that are 2, 3, 4, 5 hours away from where you live currently. Those are completely different worlds that you could live in, completely new cultures, new friends, new experiences. Because when you hop across the state line, you can go ahead and add $10,000 on estimate to every year that you're going to be in school to pay for out-of-state tuition. Now, a lot of you may go, what if I go live with someone, a relative, etc.? It takes time to establish out-of-state residency, and the smallest time usually is about 6 months, which means most states it takes you living there from 6 months to 2 years before they will consider you a resident in order to get the benefits of that state, and sometimes that is the case with out-of-state tuition. So if you can avoid going out of state, at least for the first 4 years, I would advise that. Now, if you're going to get a master's degree or a doctorate degree, or you're trying to get a higher up type of certification, you're most likely going to pay for that out of your own pocket anyway. So those are where I would suggest that you go out of state and you move elsewhere. But until you're using somebody else's money, try to use that money here in the state and just move elsewhere. That'll be the most beneficial thing. Other question.
Like, what do you do if you are going to school out of state? Because I don't like anybody here. I don't like any of you. But what if you can't like afford like the money to get out? What happens then?
All right, yeah, so if you do decide to go out of state, the question is how are you going to afford things out of state? Because you will be paying for food and transportation and housing as well as school. The best way I can help in those situations is you want to apply for as many scholarships as you can with the university. That'll help you out as much as you can. Anything local will try to help you out as much as we can. But there's only so much money and there's so many kids trying to get it that you really have to be wise about the decisions you're making with the money, or you could get yourself in a lot of trouble coming as an 18, 19, 20-year-old just starting and being heavy in debt, okay?
I hate to bring scholarships back up again, but what can we use scholarships for? Can I buy a new car, a pocket protector, a skydiving expedition, a trip to Legoland? What can I do with my money?
Oh, okay. What can you use scholarship money for? We mentioned that a little bit earlier, but just to go over, once the money gets to you from refund day, it's yours now, okay? It doesn't matter if it was a grant, if it was a loan, if it was whatever, it's for you now. Unless it's specifically tied to you have to use this for this, then the money is open for things you want to. Now let's be intelligent about it. The most things you need to do is make sure you buy your school supplies, and that's dealt with. After that, you need to make sure you deal with yourself on a personal level. Make sure you have enough to eat. Make sure your transportation is good to go. Make sure that you don't need any additional study material. After that point, the money's up to you. You want to help pay rent? You want to help your mom go on a shopping spree? You want to take your boyfriend, girlfriend to the movies? That's up to you. But be aware that a lot of students make really dumb, difficult decisions with money, including taking giant vacations, including learning how to snow ski, including learning how to get a new car. These are things that get students heavily into debt, and those are the students who are having hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt later on in life because they're being irresponsible with their money.
All right, so like check it. Like, I know you don't think so, but I'm like mega smart. So if I want to get like a bachelor's degree and a master's degree at the same time, can I do that?
Can you get 2 degrees at the same time? Sure you can. It's like riding 2 horses at the same time. It's technically possible. It's not advised because it's a little dangerous, okay? 2 degrees at the same time is an insane amount of work for most students. A major and a minor aren't too bad, okay? Because a lot of majors have so many built-in classes to it that taking a couple of more gives you a minor. Now, students who plan on double majoring need to make sure that they really discuss this with their advisors and the people who are in their department so they know what they're trying to achieve. A lot of people try to major 2 things together that don't go together very well. I'm going to be in electrical engineering, and I'm also going to be an accountant. Well, these courses are not going to line up at all. Your class schedule is going to be all over the map, and you're going to be doing so much different amount of work, it's going to cause a lot of anxiety and stress in your life. Now, if somebody is doing business with something else in anticipation of opening their own business or something along those lines, that could be a little bit easier. Double majors, I always advise talk to your advisors. Maybe consider the minor first and maybe go for the double major if we're pushing for a master's degree or something along those lines once we feel a little bit more comfortable. Trying to double major as a freshman, super stressful, super scary, okay?
Okay. So like I'm planning to go to school far away, and where do I live?
Okay, if you do decide to go out of state or you don't go out of state, where you live is an important part. For those of you who are in this vicinity of 60 miles or so, you can live at home. You tell the university that you're living at home and you're commuting, which basically tells them that you're driving to and from campus every day. Okay? A lot of freshman students in the Louisiana system lie about this and tell people that they're commuting back and forth, and then they go get their own apartment. I can't tell you what to do in that situation, but that is what some students do. Otherwise, you're talking about having to live on campus. And a lot of students live on campus. And living on campus has a ton of advantages. Number one, you don't worry about parking. Number two, you don't worry about getting in class on time for the most part. Number three, you're connected with the university. Events, happenings, big events on campus, you're right there already. You don't have to travel to it. You don't have to get back to it. These are all things that help you be connected and help you be better students as freshmen and as sophomores. The problem with living on campus is it costs money. And some students aren't able to pay for college and pay for a dorm room. So if that's the case, then you may have to commute back and forth to home. Those of you wanting to go far away, you don't have that option. You either have the dorm or an apartment, and those are going to cost money, and you're most likely going to have a roommate, and those things can get difficult too. So be aware of these decisions that you're making. Some universities will have the option to have private rooms. Some of you will want to choose that. That's usually an additional cost, okay? So for those of you about living situations, prepare yourself. We all know that we like our friends sometimes, but we all know when you hang out with a friend for sometimes too many days, it gets very frustrating and annoying. Now imagine they don't leave, okay? And you have to see them every day. Even when you're frustrated and upset and tired and hungry and you got to study and you have that annoying, yeah, you want to be careful with your roommates, okay?
When we go apply, does my stupid stepdad, Jim, have to go down there with me? Because I really don't want Jim to go down. He's such a jerk. Like the other day, I was in my room playing games and, you turn it down, turn it down. Shut up, Jim. I have rights. Anyway, so when do you want us to apply?
The first connections that you make to separate from your parents. Once you hit 18, you are an adult, according to the United States, and according to colleges, that's an adult, which means your parents do not get access to your grades. They do not have access to your schedule. These are things you have to physically give them because the college will not at that point. It's a break of privacy and they can't do those things. So your parents are there and hopefully supportive and you need to, but they kind of stop once you get to college. Use them for support, use them for their knowledge, but as far as helping you out with that additional stuff at school, that kind of stops once the college thing starts. They also don't have to be there to help you with your dorm or with financial aid. Unless you're entering at 17, then most of the time you don't have to have that parent around.
Oh, I'm really good at everything that I do, and I was wondering, like, who sends my stuff off so that I can play basketball at the next level?
Okay. When it comes to athletes and universities, it gets a little bit more difficult. If you're an athlete, the first thing I recommend is talk with your specific coach. If your specific coach is a little confused about how some things work, that's okay. A lot of them, this is the first time they've got an athlete that may be going to the next level as well, so it could be new for them. Talk with the coach first, also talk with your counselor, and maybe together, talk together. Because what's going to happen is you're going to have to get those things together. At their level, they're going to have to know which scholarships and classes and all that kind of stuff that you've had, and you're going to have to go through what's called the clearinghouse for the NCAA, and that's so that the NCAA makes sure you've done everything you're supposed to do as a student athlete in high school so that you will be eligible to play sports at the next level. It can be confusing, it can be a little difficult, so that's why I'd advise make sure to talk with your coach as soon as possible, and if you need to talk with your counselor as soon as possible about that, because it can become a difficult situation for athletes. Okay.
One more if you, will you? One more please, one more. Is there just like one list of all scholarships ever made in the United States of America since 1956 that you could give to every one of us individual students that will explain to us what scholarships that we can use in college? No? Yes? I'll let you discuss.
Okay. What he would like to know is there a magical master list of scholarships that you can just check from? The answer is no. Coach Crockett would love it if he could provide that. Your counselors would love it if they could provide that. But the problem is there are so many scholarships that are possibly available We cannot determine just by having a list what you could be applicable for. So what we suggest is we'll let you guys know as many of the local ones as we can. We've talked about how you can apply for the college ones by just sending off your application. We've talked about the specific ones for your university or your program, which you look for in the beginning of a year when things are starting to happen there. But as far as just other scholarships, it's very difficult to just give you a list. There are some websites that we have provided for you guys that are good to go check in on and to look and see if they'll update you for. We'll attach a link or two with this video to help you guys out for any questions that you may have there. But a lot of it is just going and checking and seeing what you personally are good at, what you've done really well at, what you may succeed at, and then trying to find ones that match with you. It's almost impossible to look up scholarships for every single individual student. You got to do a little bit of that legwork on your own. We can help as much as we can, but you got to look up that stuff on your own, because otherwise we can't do one for every individual kid. There's just not that much time left. So when I'm here and people do my work for me, like what happens when I go to college? Is there somebody who like signs up to do my work for me? Or do I just ask like the first person I see, like, hey, I need you to do my work, play basketball? Or do they like assign me someone? How does that work out exactly? Okay, you're gonna have to do work. Work in class is going to happen. Some college classes aren't as hard as the others. Some are super difficult. Some there's a lot of reading. Some there's a lot of group work. Some you have to do labs. It is basically advanced high school. What's less at college is the amount that people are going to try to make you do things. If you don't want to do the things, you don't do the things. You're the one paying to be there. If you don't want to be there, we would advise you find somewhere else to be, because you're wasting your money and wasting people's time at that point. But yeah, so when you're working in class, you're not going to have somebody help you do your work for the most part. Your teachers are there, they're going to help you, but they're not going to sit over your shoulder. Please don't consider cheating. Most universities have a very zero tolerance policy for cheating. It can get you thrown out of the university, not just I have an F on an assignment, but you do not get to attend here any longer. So it is a different situation there. You don't want to play around with that situation. Make friends, get study groups, but cheating is out of the question. Don't try to go that route, okay? Seriously, once we start scheduling stuff, Joe, like, bro, like, who schedules my classes, bro? Like, do the teachers schedule classes, bro, or do like all of them come together in like one big situation? Okay. When you guys do high school scheduling, you usually get called down by a counselor. Maybe you go through a couple of classes that you guys talk about, you see what fits best, and you plan your schedule out for the next year, and you're usually very aware of it. It's not that different once you go to college. You meet either with an advisor or an academic advisor. Depending on your university, this could be somebody in a completely separate building, or at some universities, it may be a professor that you have almost every day of the week. These people will take a look at your work, what you've done, what major you're in, and they will decide the best course of action for you. Now, you need to keep this in mind. A lot of advisors are awesome and wonderful people and will do everything it takes to make sure that you have an amazing college experience, you take the right classes, and you graduate on time. And then there are some advisors who aren't very good, and they will not help you that much. And you have to make sure you have everything under control so that you don't mess up when you go pick out classes. Okay? There are people available to help you with this stuff, but that's how college schedules get made. They get made at the end of semesters or quarters, and those things then transfer over. You have someone to help you walk through it, and they will also tell you if you are not taking classes you should be, or if you're even eligible to take certain classes. So they will help you out in those situations. All right, next question. Where would one peruse for extra money for, are you guys hot? Where would you peruse for just extra things, money related?
Yeah.
Oh,
she's cute.
Guess my final question would be, do you have to live on campus, or like, can you sleep in your van? All right. Okay, yeah, let's talk about housing. Housing is a big deal at a university level. You're gonna have a couple of options available for you, okay? The first option is living on campus. That's the easy one. The problem with living on campus for you guys is living on campus is expensive. And when you pay to live on campus, you also have to live to eat on campus. They make you pay for those. They've made some of those deals a little bit easier, but for the first bit for you guys, living on campus, if you can and you have the money, I suggest doing it, okay? The reason being is you get more connected to the university, you get more connected to your friends and to some other events that are happening. It makes you more with the university, but some of you aren't gonna have that option. If you're a ULM or tech student, you will probably have the option to commute, which is basically living at home or with a grandparent, aunt or uncle, and you drive back and forth. Some of you are gonna lie to your university and tell them that you're commuting at your mom's house and you're gonna go live with your buddies at an apartment. I can't say that that's the best idea, I can't say it's the worst idea, but I can say just don't get caught if you're gonna do that suggestion, which means if you're gonna send mail places, make sure it's going to where you're commuting to and not to your fake residence that you are now living at. For those of you who are going to LSU or going to Shreveport or Lafayette or Lake Charles, those are gonna be other situations where you may have to live on campus at the beginning because you don't have the means to commute at the beginning. After about a year and a half, most of you guys are gonna start trying to trickle out, either live on your own, find roommates, maybe move out of mom and dad's house, but at the very beginning, that's difficult. You wanna make sure you get your academics under control first and that you feel comfortable with school before you start adding extra responsibilities like rent and bills and having to make sure your things are taken care of, as well as all your online and classwork. So if you have to live on campus, live on campus. If you have to live at home, live at home. If you have to do the apartment thing, you can do the apartment thing. There's a couple of different options for you guys. They all have pros and cons, but talk with some people before you make those decisions.
Me again. Right here, up front. Oh, hi, Franklin again. Question, when I get into college, because I'm gonna make it into college, what kind of scholarships will I get once I'm actually in college?
Okay. All right, once you're in college, don't expect to get more scholarships. The most money you're getting is freshman year. That does not mean there aren't some eligible scholarships for pre-existing students. They're much harder to come by, they're much more competitive, and you really have to talk to your specific department about those because most students aren't going to get additional scholarships while you're already in school, which also means for those of you who may plan on transferring, that may also lose your scholarship or any money that's attached to the school because it was for a specific school or institution, not another place. We have had situations where another school may accept some other things, but that's a very individual situation, and for most of you, you just need to know about your situation. Transferring causes problems, can cause issues, but if you need to, it is an option available.
Listen, there's 7 schools recruiting me right now because I'm the best point guard in the 8-state area. But my question is this, when other schools want me, because they're going to want me, what do I do? Do I be like, hey, yo, you can't have me, bro? Or what happens after that point?
When you talk about scholarships to go to school, what will happen is this, is for those of you who win specific scholarships that are not part of a university or school, but they're from an outside organization, or maybe you're really good at a specific skill and they give you money for that, that will all go to the university unless they give it to you separately. Now, most people don't just hand teenagers over hundreds of dollars. So they contact your university and that is situated through that. So when you get your refunds, you will see all of your scholarships, grants, anything possible will be on your refund sheet to let you know that it's on there. That's how those will be dealt with for anybody who's getting extra scholarships, any of our local scholarships, it all will go straight to your university for the most part. Some of them will give you the cash before you go, but that isn't the norm, okay? Ultimately, if you're wondering how to prep for college, the answer is a little broad, but pretty simple. Once you get to college, you're gonna have a little bit less of somebody staying on top of you, which means you gotta up your responsibility level when it comes to work. If you miss assignments or you miss deadlines, it's your job to take care of that by the proper date. If you're sick and you miss assignments, you have to take care of that on your time. It's also an important time to start learning how to speak to adults, even if you feel a little awkward about it. Go talk to that teacher about not understanding the assignment. Go talk to that counselor about sending things off to your university. Go talk to that principal about maybe what to expect at that different level. There comes a time where you get to college and they're going to leave you on your own a lot of the times. And if you're not willing to ask questions and you're not willing to talk to these certain people and get these things under control, you're going to be one of those that fall by the wayside. So the biggest way I can suggest to prep for college for a lot of you, start asking questions and start getting involved in as much as you can that involves you, because you're going to be the one in charge of that all pretty soon, and you want it to all feel comfortable and good, okay? College can be stressful, it can be tough. Doesn't matter if you're going there to try to become a welder, it doesn't matter if you're trying to become an accountant, or if you're just moving up to your next stage of being a doctor. It's difficult for everybody in different ways, but the key is if we're going to college, it's to get more education so that we can do better in the future, okay? That's the reason we go. So it doesn't matter, refrigeration repair, baseball player, doesn't matter. Whatever you go to college for, remember, it's to prep you so you do better. So pick something that you're going to feel confident with and comfortable with, and hopefully you'll do the best, okay? If you guys have questions, feel free to ask. Make sure you talk to your teachers, your counselors, anybody that can possibly help you out with some decisions. Don't let your questions just slide. Make sure you guys take care of the FAFSA. That's an important thing. And we're going to have a couple of links underneath this video to help you guys out in case you need to know some other things. Thank you guys.